right. Well, good evening. My name is Sandra Portal Andreu. I'm Project Art's Southeast Regional Director of Impact, overseeing Miami and New Orleans.
And I'm Danielle Steele, the Program Manager for Project Art Miami and New Orleans chapters.
We thank you for joining us this evening for the student virtual exhibition Through the Screen, presented in partnership with Project Art and the Miami-Dade Public Library System.
This evening, we'll be presenting works from our students who participated in classes this year with our resident artists, Alexandra Zastera, Aurora Molina, Sonia Baez Hernandez, and Susan Feliciano.
Project Art Miami and the Miami-Dade Public Library System present the student virtual exhibition Through the Screen. Yeah, this collection of works created by our students ages 7 to 18 in Miami-Dade County are a reflection of their experience through the pandemic. Despite being away from our library spaces, which we all miss, our residents guided their students through various projects using the library's rich resources and vast collection for inspiration. Through the Screen reminds us that no matter what, no matter where, art transcends spaces.
We want to thank the Miami-Dade Public Library System for providing us the platform to present these works. This is our 4th year in partnership with them, and it means the world to have a space, physical or digital, where our students' work is supported by such a renowned institution.
We also want to thank our supporters for making our program possible. The Clay Family Foundation, the Miami Foundation, the Kirk Foundation, Cornelia T. Bailey, the Batchelor Foundation, Goldman Sachs, Blick Art Materials, and the support of the Miami-Dade Department of Cultural Affairs, the Cultural Affairs Council, the Miami-Dade Mayor, and Board of Commissioners. Last but not least, we want to thank our library, Miami-Dade Public Library System. We hope that as our communities continue to open, that we will return to our public library spaces to continue serving our families and our students and our community. I would like to bring Oscar Fuentes up. He's the Library Exhibitions and Programming Specialist in the Art Services Unit for the Miami-Dade Public Library System to share a few words. I'm gonna pin you right now, Oscar. There you go.
Thank you, Sandra. The mission of the Miami-Dade Public Library System is to provide an extraordinary services, spaces, experiences that promote literacy and learning, personal growth, and limitless opportunities. As part of that mission, the library system has a long history of offering access to cultural and educational exhibitions. Our partnership with Project Art Miami provides the opportunity to focus our efforts on issues that are important to our community. We look forward to continuing this relationship in the future as we explore ways to provide more essential services to our residents throughout Miami-Dade. Thank you, Sandra, for having me.
Thank you so much, Oscar. It really means the world for us to be in our library spaces. And, I know that we've missed it this past year, but, we hope to be back hopefully very soon. We know that our families miss it, and so do our students. So thank you so much, Oscar. And friends and families, we ask that you remain muted during the presentation. We will be inviting our students at the end to share a few words or maybe even talk about their favorite project this past year. We also want to advise one more time that this will be recorded. So when the time comes to share some words, if you don't want to necessarily show your face, you can definitely have your camera turned off.
With that said, we welcome you to Through the Screen.
All right. And we're going to bring our first resident artist up. Let me see if I can get him here. And where's Alexander Zastera, virtual one? Alexander, are you here?
I am here.
Wow.
Hello.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
So Alex, before we start seeing some of your students' artworks, perhaps you could share a little bit about, how it was for you this year and what sort of themes and topics you explored with your students.
Yes, thank you, Sandra. So this is my second year at Project Art. So I've gotten to experience Project Art both in the physical library space and then in the digital space. A lot of the things that we focused on specifically this year was um, uh, emotions, and specifically like how to process them, what's going on. We were stuck in these spaces, and how do we talk about some of these things that were happening in both a scientific context with the virus, the emotional context of how the students were and myself were dealing with the stuff, and how we could take in and socialize both through the screen, but then what was available around us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how did you, and being away from the library spaces, how were you able to connect, this notion of us sort of still being connected to our libraries?
Yeah, I mean, so we talked a lot about like what was around us and the aspect of connection. Like libraries are a place where people can come together without the like for free, without any expectation of paying anything. They're centers of knowledge and learning, and so a lot of the things that we did were focused on kind of talking about how do we come together in this digital space, but then how can kind of like Project Art act as a facilitator for interaction, just as like the libraries would be in that kind of space.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we're gonna start with our first artiste.
Yes, Astrid.
Mm-hmm.
So what the works that I asked the project, we did several different projects, but the one that I asked them to share was their family maps. So what they did is we were talking about like mapping and what's around us, thinking about community spaces, and they were thinking about aspects of space. And in this case, she was thinking about like the stars and constellations, but some of the other kids that you'll see as we move through thought about like their rooms or their neighborhoods. And then they drew portraits of their family and then kind of collaged them together into these family maps that you see.
Yeah, I love that she was able to, I guess, get the constellations. Perhaps it was like their signs, but then there's also interesting. I see like a kangaroo, it looks like. So it's almost like she created her own constellations. That was really, really, really cool. I love this one.
Yeah, she did a great job. We had some, you'll see it later on, we had a lot of space. So this is Sebastian, and I will preface this. I know that it looks like maybe somebody falling into like a ravine, but he was really interested in Among Us, which is a game. So he referenced a lot of his work in video games, and so this is actually Among Us, and it looks like it's like underwater or something in these kind of like pods. And they're moving through this game into this like kind of like pod family unit home, and those are his family right there that you see.
Very cool. I love the colors. Very vivid.
Yeah, very bright.
Yeah. And Among Us actually was one of these games that even my kids were gravitating to over the pandemic. It seemed that was like a fun way for kids to connect, and talk to each other and play.
Absolutely. It got mentioned a lot.
All right. And we have Lydia.
So yeah, Lydia is very interested in science and art and cats. So she put kind of her family you see there on the sun, and then and technology. So you have like the little satellites that are around. So she was thinking about those aspects while she made these works. And emoji. She loved emoji. She always had an emoji background every day. It was so.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of the times how we ended up sharing was through, we would change our backgrounds and like
Oh,
put
to the
on
artwork.
filters. Not just the artwork, but like how we're, us presenting on Zoom. So it kind of became like a little show, sometimes we do puppet shows or something.
Nice.
So this is Joshua. So you can see he drew the road in his community. So he has these artworks of his families. And Joshua also is somebody who, very interesting how he thinks. And I just want to say, Joshua, if you're here, I have been watching my homework. I've been watching JoJo's, so just FYI, if you're listening, I have been doing it.
He is here.
Okay, well, I've been listening. I have started the new series, so just know that I did. But he's very interested in technology and editing, and kind of like digital collaging. So interesting that he chose to kind of like go off the page and then sort of edit this and kind of have this continuation down as you go.
Very cool. Congrats, Joshua.
Okay, so Angelo, and this is very interesting with the next piece that you'll also see, because Angelo and Soraya, they're brother and sister, and you can see the differences in how they thought about the assignment. So here Angelo he kind of plays with this kind of like 2D, like flat, but then also has like space to it. So it kind of almost like looks like almost like a Minecraft game to a certain extent, and then has the family outside in the yard, and then flip over to Soraya, and so then here you see a different perspective of them inside of the house and with the different rooms that they were interacting on. And it was also interesting in terms of how they're interacting, because like a computer, right, like they were both on two different computers, so there was two different views that they were also getting in the class, even though they were in the same exact space.
Fantastic. And I know Angelo and Soraya are here, so congratulations.
Hi guys.
Okay,
and then we have Aria. So Aria did a future self portrait, and I'm not sure if the blue lips are referencing, because you could also change the lip color on the background of Zoom. Or Aria always had food, no matter what, always had some snacks going on. So maybe she had like a blue lollipop or something, and that's just the remnants of. But Aria was such a joy. She cares a lot about animals, and is very thoughtful, and was such a, especially there was one particular moment I remember where we were discussing like a certain issue, and she kind of, without me bringing it up, brought up kind of like the counter argument to it, and kind of like went into it and gently brought it up in a way that we then flushed it out as a class. And so she always has a very thoughtful way of thinking about things, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I remember her very famous quote on painting.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't remember the exact specifics, but it was like just talking about how like it was about like
sort of
releasing
takes you to places, something of that nature.
Yes.
How that when that painting is a way to sort of like transport to another space. So very wise beyond her years.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Alex. It's been a joy having you again with ProjectArt. And I know that the kids, had such a blast. Every time that I went into your class, I knew that it was always so much fun. So
same. Y'all are amazing. If you're listening, you're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing.
Thanks, Alex. All right. So now we're going to bring up Aurora. Let me bring Aurora up to talk a little bit about her year and her students. Hi, Aurora, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So Aurora, I know that you're also a returning resident, and there you are. And if you want to share some words on some of the projects that you guys explored this year, how you were able to integrate the library even though we're not in the library, how we were able to sort of bring that resource into our virtual class.
So this year, because of the situation we all lived through, I tried to concentrate mostly on the subject that the kids had more access to, which was themselves.
Mhm.
So we worked through the whole semester, understanding the many ways we could interpret portraiture. And with that, I always love to bring our history into the class. And I brought a lot of resources from books that were in the library that we had access to. Also online resources that ProjectArt had shared with us, taking them to different museums around the world. We looked at different online exhibits that dealt with portraits as well. So we took advantage of the situation and sort of like globalized this idea a little.
Nice.
So as I told you, we started to look at portraiture from different exercises. I tried to bring in the idea of like different art periods and the influence of different artists to inform the kids' work, for them to look at their work. And I think the results are pretty, given the circumstances, they're pretty good.
Yeah. Well, let's dive in there. I'm gonna let's see if I can switch content. Here you go. So let's dive in there because you do have a couple of interesting works. So this one, I believe, is Andrea.
This is Andrea. Andrea was one of the students that really followed diligently with all the sort of like the assignments and the last couple of classes that we were looking at. She sort of like finished the exercises. Sorry, Sandra.
It's okay.
There.
Aurora's a very busy bee.
Yes. They texted me because I was showing an online, another online group. So I'm here. Sorry about that. We'll call it a glitch. I'll put on my intention and attention to Andrea. Like I was saying, we look at all the works, and she had finished them, she had colored them, she had bring so many other layers into it, and she sort of like went back and realized how many they were doing. And then when it came to the time of pre-selecting, she was so sure about the ones that she wanted to bring to the exhibit. But she definitely understood the process and the different interpretations of portraiture that we had done.
Right.
And then when I asked, are you sure these or that? Because she had like maybe 12 good finish and photograph pieces, and we could only select a few.
Right.
She just this and that. So there is one that she did that we were weaving that didn't make the cut, but I think it's one of her favorites too. I just want to acknowledge that she had many pieces in the show.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next one. I mean, unfortunately, it's hard to, bring them all in, because I know that a lot of the kids created so many projects this year that were really spectacular. So now we have Sahara.
Sahara, this is an exercise. So the one from Andrea, I had them do an exercise that was called How Do You See Yourself? And that was one of the portraits of interpreting how she saw herself. And then Sahara had to do with more like abstract expressionism. So they all did these. It's just that these are the ones that were selected.
Right.
So she was able to, you had to like sort of like close your eyes and do a hand gesture and then find a figure trap in there, and you had to make it a self-portrait. So, it was also an exercise to keep them teaching a skill or an idea that could have been developed. And then they, this one they had to count shapes, and we look at complementary colors. So there were many layers that went on to finishing it, that were very skill based as well.
Cool. This is the girl with the cat with the pearl earrings.
Pearl.
This is phenomenal. Yeah.
This one is Karina, and this was an exercise that had to do with finding very iconic portraits and making it a twist, and yet use some very specific elements in the portraiture that will still give you a hint of what portrait we were making a reference to. So we had talked about surrealism, and she picked sort of like the cat to incorporate it into these, and then she did a watercolor, and I think it's a beautiful rendition.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I believe Karina is here, so congratulations, Karina.
Congratulations.
Excellent work. Excellent. I think I want that. I want that on my wall. And then we have Dante.
Dante, I have to say, when I look at his work, he was always very like hidden behind camera, but he will actively participate. And then I imagine him like that, like these sort of like manga comic sort of like character that filters through the web, and has all these partners, and it's doing all these things. This is like a little episode on Dante's life, so I see him as a protagonist.
Wow.
And this was a surrealist exercise. They had to turn themselves into something else. So yeah,
he's a ninja.
He's a ninja for sure.
Amazing. And then this is Liliana. Wow.
Liliana, yeah, she had done everything, and then it's sort of like we would move on from week to week. So this one was from that same exercise on how others see you, and it's an interpretation of on perception. So I just wish this was color, I just wish I had these kids in front of me to sort of like push them a little bit more. But I mean, we're looking at great results regardless. I tell them all the time, it's like I want my eyes to go in the computer to see the work. Like I want to physically see it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, this is very, very beautiful. And the eyes are very striking. Very striking. And then we have Antonella.
Antonella, this is a portrait that also had to do with the surrealist, when we look at surrealist portraits. And she had to combine this idea of turning a portrait of herself into something else. So you see that she's almost melting. And she talked about that feeling of changing and muting and just letting go, and it was very interesting. And also this had another continuation where there were two profile portraits and a frontal portrait that she sort of like took on this style and developed it as well, with those other three portraits, which is nice to see how they grow into the project, and they were able to grasp on some of the well done projects and reuse it, and sort of like develop a style.
Yeah. Well, this was amazing, because we see these development and these different phases of portraiture and what portraiture means. And I know that that's really fundamental in your work, Aurora. And the fact that you gave these kids an opportunity to sort of explore what that means in different ways is really, really cool. So thank you so much. And
thank you.
Congratulations. All right. So we're going to bring on Miss Susan. Miss Susan. Miss Susan, are you here? I just promoted her. Let's see. Oh, Hi.
Hi.
I was like, are
I
you there? Are you there?
You can see me now. The host has
Yes.
asked you to start your video. Okay, I'm starting my video, I promise. I was pushing mute and start video, and all of a sudden, poof, I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, the magic of Zoom.
So,
So
good
Susan, yeah,
evening.
share a little bit with us about this past year. I know that you had a very interesting, tight-knit group, and you worked on a lot of different projects. And I mean, I'm not gonna take your words away, but I saw so much improvement from even some of our kids that are returning students from like years prior. So they've made really big strides.
Yeah, I was lucky this year. I got the 13 to 18 years old. And tight-knit group of like 10 students that came regularly. There were other students that came, so it was like an ebb and flow of people. So we started off with photography. That was something that they had access to. And we focused, no pun intended, on point of view. So you'll see, I think the first piece is Kayla's piece.
Let's go to
She went ahead and she did these photographs of these scenes, and she's standing on a bridge and she's looking from above. So we were discussing bird's eye view and worm's eye view and side view, and it gives the audience the artist's perspective. You know, like in a book, you always get the author's point of view. And so when it comes to things like photography or even drawing, you're getting the point of view of the creator. So here is Kayla's, from her line of sight, her eye can spy the scene unfolding. So we talked about the rule of thirds, how you divide a painting or a photograph into 3 sections. So, and then you decide, do you want more sky or do you want it more water? So all the activity was in the water. So you can see that it takes up 2/3 of the piece.
And there's so many sort of depths and layers of the blue, you know,
Oh, yeah.
of the water. So it's almost like, yeah, it's taking up 2/3, but you're seeing all these sort of dynamics within the photograph.
I mean, I love this series. She did about, I would say, she showed us about 5 photographs that she took. And each one was like, you would see, you know, the boat coming in, people on the shoreline. And so it was this narrative. And so it started to take on this storytelling.
Right.
And for the final project, we called it Reconstructive Narratives. So the photography became kind of like when you keep a sketchbook and you start drawing your ideas, the photographs became references for ideas to hold for future.
Right.
This particular series was so stunning, we kept it as a standalone.
Nice. And this is Kayla's as well. So this is the reconstructive narrative that you were talking about, reclaiming old books from the library. And
exactly. So Oscar Fuentes, a big shout out to you.
Thank you, Oscar.
Oscar was so generous. He donated several books, and these books, along with some art materials from ProjectArt, we delivered them, or the students picked it up from the different libraries. So the branch I was located at was Kendall Library Branch. And so they came by, they picked up the books and the supplies, and then they worked on top of the books. So the books are not blank. They're actual books with stories and pictures.
Right.
So they use that as a springboard for their ideas.
Amazing. Amazing.
And in this piece, you'll see it has a black line poem. So here is another one. No, it's okay. You can go back.
You can go back.
Go back. You could go forward. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Kayla is here. So congratulations, Kayla.
Woo! This one I loved because she did everything. She did her drawings, she added collage, she added the different poems, she circled the words that were interesting to her, and then you outline or you black out with a black marker the other words.
Right.
So it's another way of writing. So we wanted incorporating, you know, the book of the library, but also the act of being creative in a written form.
Right.
So this is pictorials as well as text-based work.
So you can see some of the words. Maybe you can read them. I don't know. I'm
So this is
having, I have to get my
Alexandra.
I have to get my reading glasses.
Yeah, Alexandra de Leon.
Oh yeah, Alexandra did a wonderful job. She did several poems and she introduced them, and then she went ahead and blacked out the words that she didn't want, but also she used that same idea with the blue and the collage where the words are floating behind, so that becomes like another texture and layer to work with.
And it looks like she put actual newspaper clippings there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they use newspaper, they use magazines, they use a lot of text-based references and imagery.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going with that hand. That hand is so powerful. And the crown. Crown looks like a crown.
Take the question to turn the page, you know.
Yeah.
So these are narratives within themselves.
There you go. And then we have Mark Hills. I know the Hills family is here. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys. Yes, it's wonderful to have the groups because everybody was so different and everybody sort of gravitated toward different ideas. So in the beginning, we did photography and I centered them around different themes. So this particular theme is things I hold.
Right.
So it could be taken literally, which is the hand and you're holding something physically, but also could be metaphorically where something that you hold dear to you.
Right.
So this is the ring from the Lord of the Rings.
Amazing.
And then he did a drawing based on it. So it's that idea of using photography as a medium, but also using photography as a reference so that you can base drawings or paintings from them as well.
Incredible, incredible. Beautiful work. And wow, this is a beautiful, beautiful picture.
Yeah, this is another piece by Mark. This is something he did. So a lot of times I assign homework so that we were able to work outside of the classroom setting, you know, through a screen and the monitor and the camera. A lot of times they were prompted to do things in class and then they would continue it outside and they would finish it and then bring it back to class and then we would be able to discuss it. So the lucky thing about working with older students is that they grasp ideas so quickly and then they take off with them.
This is interesting, the blues and almost like the purples of the sky that he captured, which is odd because he was taking the picture towards the sun, you know, where usually you want to take the picture away from the sun because you're getting all that light. So it's interesting how he got this shot.
It's a very mysterious photograph.
Yeah.
It prompts a lot of conversation.
Exactly. And then I wonder who this is.
So, you know, sometimes what's nice about high school is that they also come with their own ideas. This, like the hand and this piece I did a study on value. So we learned about darks, lights, mediums, and how it creates this 3D. So this is the basic recipe for drawing. And so Sophia approached me and says, I will draw a photograph. And I said, okay. She goes, but I need it to be of you. So I was very sort of surprised because that's a big project. We were just beginning to draw hands and eyes and getting the shading and the profile, but she was fearless. She included the hand. She included the eye. She included everything else that is attached to it.
And I know this picture very well. So I think she did an excellent job. It's very accurate. Very accurate. Well, congratulations, Sophia. Very, very nice. And I know that we have a couple more. And then we have Matthew Hills.
Yes. So one of the things I had them do when they did photography is to edit their images and convert the colors. So again, we're looking at the darks and lights. So this is more of a traditional approach to art making where they're learning very basic skills in photography and also very basic skills in drawing and then using the two. And then the thematic work is, you know, things that belong in your world. So I believe that this is part of the, you know, My World series, where they look around the space they occupy and start photographing either things, people, places. So this is where the social practice comes in, where they start taking in, you know, ideas about what goes on beyond themselves.
Right. This is amazing. No, and you can see the contrast of the colors even in black and white. All right.
And then Avi's work.
Avi.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Avi did a wonderful photography series. This was part of anatomy, was the topic, and he photographed, you know, the eye, the ear, and I even think he even did like different parts of the face, different profiles. But this one, again, deepens the mystery.
Yeah.
Because you know what an eye looks
Right.
like. The way he photographed the eye, it's looking at you.
Yeah.
So the photograph is really about you, you know, looking at the eye back. And then you'll see, I think if you zoom in also on the eye, you can see the reflection of who's taking the picture, a little shadow image of the artist.
Yeah.
So even the artist is in the eye. Isn't that amazing? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. These kids blow your mind. You think it's one thing, and then when you scratch below the surface, there's more. There's another story.
Right. Absolutely. They have so much to tell. Right?
Yeah.
so
This is
much
my
to tell.
favorite, by the way. This was like, I was like, you must give me the photograph of the eye.
Yeah, no, congratulations, Avi. Beautiful, beautiful job. And we're
One
really
last
happy to have
one.
him back. And then this one's kind of this is fun. I almost want to do this exercise at home.
Well,
And
yeah,
send it to you.
So I was like, okay, so a lot of times I'll give them a theme, and I try to resist showing them too many examples, because then I don't want to have 25 of the same example.
Right.
And so I just give them enough information to spark a little curiosity, and then I let them interpret it their way. So this theme was myself without me. So it couldn't be a selfie. You know how, you know,
Selfie, right. Well,
everybody does a selfie.
they're pose.
You know, they're posing. And here I was like, okay, how can we make it about you, but without your likeness?
About you. Very fun.
And so he used clothes. Sandra, he used his clothes, but then he took it a step further. He had him like on this thing.
On the
this,
machine.
Like...
Yeah. I mean, there's action, there's movement happening, there's a lot in this photograph. I mean, I can't imagine what it must have what it took to put it all together. I'm sure it was probably a lot of fun. So at least you got them like interacting, you know, in their homes in some way, right?
Sure, because you know, here we are on this little pantalla, the monitor. I'm talking, and then I say, okay, guys, go
and do your thing.
10 minutes. Do what I just asked you to do, and then go into your rooms or somewhere in your house and do something, and then bring it back.
Right.
And then sometimes they continue, you know, they create more work, or they explore different ideas, and they delight as well as surprise you with all their different combinations of what that idea meant to them, and then they constructed this narrative to go with it.
Well, thank you very much. I think we are all done with your group. So, and again, returning resident, Sonia, it's been a joy working with you this year, and I know that you inspired these kids immensely. I mean, we can see by the works that they created and have presented today. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to bring up Miss Sonia Baez Hernandez. She was our resident artist this year with the Miami Bridge. The Miami Bridge is a partnership that we've had for the last 4 years. It's a homeless youth shelter that we've worked with. They have 2 locations, one in Miami and one in Homestead. And this year, because of Corona and the pandemic, we were able to sort of bring them together in this virtual space. And Miss Sonia was able to teach both groups, both in Miami and Homestead. So I'm going to bring on Sonia. Sonia, are you here? There she is. How are you? Oh, I need you to let's unmute you for a second. How are you, Sonia?
Good, and you?
Good, good. So yeah, if you wanted to share a couple of words on what your experience was this year working with the bridge, that'd be great.
For me, the experience was always amazing, and then also thinking always about, you know, social justice precisely for the area that I was working on.
Mm-hmm.
For me, at least, was also a little bit hard because when we were online, when we were in the library, I was able to develop some kind of trust with the kids, and then we were able to do projects that they were more related to, at least when I get that trust, and projects and that they will bring social justice through their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Online, somehow was hard. It was hard because then it became this space where I did have these groups where I did have a relationship through a screen,
right,
and never contact, because in the context of the library, I was able to touch them. We have books and so on. So then one of the things that I did in the library was then I used PowerPoint to, for example, to introduce the work of Purvis John,
mm-hmm.
Because I was interested in the ways in that he used fun objects, but also how he have a visions of political visions about African American.
Absolutely.
So for me, it was a way to bring that.
Yeah.
But a couple of times I did try to bring that story, and then that story, it was very hard for them to deliver. And then, you know, they put their head down, and I says it's impossible to. And then I apologize, and then I achieve the topic to doing self-portrait.
Okay.
And then we have some story within that context.
Nice. Well, yeah, we're gonna go straight into these works, and they're so interesting. As you were saying, you know, using found objects and then also manipulating, having them have a chance to manipulate. And I know that you were able to go with them, or actually go to, you know, the homestead location and work with them one-on-one for like a pop-up sort of workshop.
So this work, what I wanted was that they experimented also with clay.
Mm-hmm.
I explained the logistic of how to do it, and in the majority of the case, while we're explaining, they already interacting and start to doing. So then they started to work on the pieces. They created the pieces, and then after that, I says, "Oh, guys, you know, remember the found objects." Mm-hmm. So they started to integrate. I basically do not give instructions in what they need to do because I want their creativity to come in. So I have seeds from pumpkins, and then I have some plastic, I have yarns, and then I have also, what do you call that? Dragon fruit. I usually dry them. And then after that, I use it in work. And then I brought like different things that they could use and integrate. And then for me, it was about, you know, the works that I do, at least in ProjectArt, there in that context, is about art therapy.
Right.
It's for them is then to release that pain that they have. Sometimes they do it by creating the art, and other times, then, like for example, this year, then we have like that we did as a collective, and then two of the girls then that wrote two
Mm.
poems. So for me was in this case then in this piece was created in collaboration with one of the counselor and the student.
Right.
Sometimes they have some students that somehow they need somehow somebody else that started the project, and then after that they continue and finish the project. But you know, I think was this kind of a peaceful piece in the context of what is going on.
Mhm.
You know, I think that this group was the majority of them. They were 14 and 15. They were very young.
Okay.
She started that piece, and then you know she knew what she was doing. I think that for me it was like a mother figure in a way.
Mhm.
And the piece, I thought that it was really well developed, and then that she knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
And then while I was in the process of photograph, she destroyed the piece.
Oh, wow.
And then, you know, I think that they deal a lot of anger in the context of it. And then I asked why she broke the piece, and then one of the kids says she's upset. And I think that, you know, probably representing the figure that, you know, maybe she lost and then while, you know, becoming homeless, or who knows the story, because you know, we never know the story.
Right. It's a beautiful work, and it seems like she put a lot into it, you know? So the fact that she was able to in some way have that power to say, I'm going to create this, but I'm also going to destroy it, is really profound. Mm-hmm. And so this one has a rose, has a heart.
Also, it's a heart. But, you know, I think that, you know, for me, that was, I think that the boys that selected two of the boys that selected to work with the flower. And for me, it was, you know, very amazing to see then that he integrated the flowers and then a hat, like, you know, somehow to delineate his masculinity. And then, you know, somehow for me, the heart making reference to maybe the fragility then that he encountered. The piece in C and you know, also were very, very fragile in the way that, you know, for example, he built that piece. And then if you enlarge a little bit the piece, then, you know, you see in the face then like some level of sadness in the context of it, like, you know, somehow, or anger too, at least in the ways then that he expressed the tease. And like, you know, somehow I felt like, you know, the hands that wanted to attach to that wall, but, you know, was like somehow very difficult at the same time. So at least for me, it's that they show that anger and that fragility in the context of, you know, that experience that they go through on becoming homeless.
And this one looks like a little princess. It's very
two
playful.
more ones.
Yeah, this is very playful.
Yes. And then, you know, again, you know, I also did have some kind of metals stuff there, and then they use it. But at least I thought then that was very creative in the ways that they use it. The things that I did was basically guide them a little bit with the, you know, how to use the clay and then how to add water when it was becoming dry. But at least for me, I tried not to intervene because I want then that would be full their own creation. And then also then the, you know, the expressions then that they have, because, you know, even though that this one is playful, the eyes sings sad too. So I think that with that context as a child, then you have this contradiction of feelings within the work. This piece also is very playful.
Yeah, a lot of layers, a lot of different mixed materials and elements. Very playful. They seem to have, you know, explored a little bit more of just mixing things up, abstractions, and I love the flowers on the top of the head. Like a little crown.
It's like a crown.
Yeah.
Like a crown. But, you know, I at least like did love. And then this one, if you enlarge, you know, she put something in the mouth that looked like a bird.
Oh,
And, I
yeah.
think it was like this kind of very playful, but also metaphorical reference to other things that, and, I didn't expect that they would be so grateful in the work that, for example, they came out with all this idea where to put what. So
Right.
for me, it's that it's the populations that I love to work with. And in the context of working with them, then one discovered other injustice, like, for example, literacy issues, discovering that some of them, they don't know how to cut with a scissor. So I think that if you want to see then that it's not just the family that failed them, but also the educational system. So for me, it's that it's a space very, very moving in that sense of being working and knowing that, you do a little bit of work, and then next time, then you have to get ready to the other one and then start from zero. It's like somehow it's an experience that somehow that neither the teacher as the student, then that one experience this kind of displacement constantly. And I imagine that for them it's worse, but then it's just that somehow you don't have this continuity with the student.
Right.
Either.
Well, yeah, we know that that these classes have been really beneficial for these kids, their residents at Miami Bridge, and we're very thankful that we've been able to sustain this relationship with them for the past 4 years, and we thank you so much, Sonia, for joining us again and working with them and having that open heart and open mind that you have to really tackle working with a group like this, because every day is a different day, and sometimes every day is a different student. So thank you for being so open with that. So thank you all. I wanted to give the opportunity now to invite our students to perhaps share a couple of things if they want. I'm going to bring up all of our artists and, students, if you are interested, if you want to share a couple words, perhaps what your favorite project was this year. I think I'm missing, am I missing somebody? Oh, where's Aurora? Aurora? She here? There she is. I know we have a couple of students here. Avi, Josh,
Kayla.
There's
my Kayla.
Yeah, if you guys have anything to share or say, or perhaps what was your favorite, project this year, please let us know. Let's see.
Karina, I see you there.
Yeah, Karina's here. That's the start video. Let me get Avi and Josh here. Let's see. Hello, Karina.
I love the lamp.
That's the story of my life. And it's spinning.
Yeah, Karina, you're the artist of the cat with the pearl earrings.
Yeah.
That was really amazing. How was that? How was it to create that work? How did it feel for you?
I just like cats and I like drawing them. So I wanted to make it a cat.
Mm-hmm. And how did you come up? I mean, what did you, when you saw the original piece, did that inspire you to do it based on is this your cat or is this just like any cat?
It's my brother's cat.
Your brother's cat. Okay. Well, it was really well done. I mean, amazing detail.
Thank you.
I mean, Danielle has a few cats and she actually wants
frames and I'm gonna put it up in my house, but I'll take a copy of it if you have another bidder.
Yeah.
I will be the art merchant.
Let's have an auction for your cat piece.
Yes.
Yeah, Karina, don't forget to charge for copies, okay? So if you make a set of 10 and you have the original goes for a higher price and the other 10 go for 1/10 of the price. So start big.
I'll set the original at $1 million and then the copies can be at 500,000.
Are there any, if you don't want to have your camera on, that's totally fine. And if you want to share something in the chat, you can do so. Any sort of words or comments you want to share with your teachers?
Oh. Hi, Kayla. How are you?
Kayla
does really amazing work.
she's a potato.
I love
Time.
her photography is amazing. She has these photographs of her dog that are just like loving. What else did you do, Kayla? Can you tell us? What other pieces did you work on?
Let me see if Kayla, are you there?
Is she unmute? Can you unmute them?
I can't.
Or do they unmute themselves?
They have to unmute themselves.
Ah, okay. Well, Avi, that eye photograph is one of my favorites because when we zoom in, you can see the outline of the photographer.
Yeah.
Was that your brother's eye or was that the one you did of yourself?
That was the one that I did of myself.
Okay, so that's you doing a selfie of your own eye. So you see yourself reflected back in your own eye.
Yep.
Priceless. I love it.
Amazing. Great job. And it's so great to have you back. So great to have you boys back. Thank you so much. And Josh, I know Josh is there. Josh, did you want to share a couple?
Oh, because I think they're in the same house.
Oh, okay. So one of you has to lower your volume, I think.
My favorite part was free draw.
It sounds like music, right?
My favorite part was free draw.
Free draw. Okay. Okay. Was there a particular favorite project that you had during this past year?
Not really.
He liked them all.
You liked them all, right?
Joshua would also do pretty awesome on the free draw. It was like a combination of like abstract meets like superhero meets color theory meets like weird stuff that he would draw. And I always thought that was pretty interesting.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Joshua, what class were you in?
Virtual 1.
Virtual, I love virtual 1.
Me. That's what me.
Okay, so Joshua would have classes with you, Alex, and then Avi would have classes with me. Were they on the same day? Because sometimes I would see Joshua kind of like in the background, checking out what was going on.
They were back
Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wednesdays.
Your classes were back to back pretty much.
Oh, wow. I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah.
Well, he would sneak into my class, Alex.
Wow, Joshua. You didn't tell me that.
I think he served as a model for Avi sometimes.
I'm sure. I wonder who's really in that on that bicycle. Which one? Well, Kayla, did you want to share a couple of words? Because we're gonna wrap things up.
Oh yeah. She won a prize.
She won
for the best answers. So she got a gift card to Chipotle for winning.
Well, there you go. There you go. She's my favorite potato because every single time I popped into your class, she would be a potato on the screen.
Oh, like the floating potato?
The floating potato.
I don't know how they do that. They should make up their own like little icons. That would be awesome. That could be a future ProjectArt project.
Exactly.
Who is your avatar?
There you go. Well, y'all, thank you so much. If we don't have any other kids chiming in, I just want to say thank you all so much for an amazing year. I know it was a very challenging year, but you know, you guys rocked and your students rocked. And I also want to thank all the parents too that, you know, were consistent, determined, logging in their kids and, you know, making sure that they came in, and students as well. You know, I know that it's tough making art online, but you all are rock stars and you made it happen. And just a last little word, this exhibition will be available on Miami-Dade Public Library System's website and also through ProjectArt and their YouTube channel. So thank you all so much. Hope you have an amazing day and an amazing summer, and hopefully we'll be back in our libraries this fall and we'll see you all there. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye.
Bye, everyone.